Benny Ogando, right? That's your last name? Ogando.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you are a bartender at Red Hook Tavern. That's how I know you.
Yes, my boy.
But the reason I think you're such an interesting person to talk to is because you really view the whole thing sort of like in an artistic lens.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, for me, it's like fun. It's supposed to be art. There's a whole kind of aspect to hospitality when you're trying to take a product and have people enjoy it to the fullest extent. But for me, it's also like, it should feel kind of like this. Like, you should feel like at home and like hanging out with like your guests. And it shouldn't be like a one-way street where like, I don't know. I think service for me is a two-way street. You're here to get like a good service from like the restaurant, but also I'm here to have a fucking good time.
Yeah.
This is gonna be. I can't work here if this is whack.
Yeah, 100%. And so when you are working at a bar and you're doing your thing bartending, what are the things you've learned over time to cultivate a fun environment?
I think it's so one of the biggest things I think a lot about is anticipating like needs for your guests. So there's like steps to service, seating people and then greeting them like within that minute that they're sat, so they feel acknowledged. Like they don't feel like they're gonna be just looked over. Even sometimes I'll be midway, like let's say making a drink, working service bar and getting pummeled. And someone will sit right in front of me, and I'm just like, give them a nod. I'm like, hey, guys, I'll be in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Acknowledgement, always, first and foremost. And they're like, all right, cool. Like, we're going to get taken care of. Then the next is like presenting them with like options to look at the menu.
Yeah.
So like that second step. And also water, hydration station, baby, because if I'm getting you drunk, I need you to survive the night.
You know a lot about people. That's the thing I really pick up on you. You know a lot about how to, warm people in and create a vibe for them.
I think a lot of it comes from, so I'm born and raised in the Bronx, reading people and reading where they're at in terms of like how you want to greet someone, where like if they're like either feeling like if things might break out into a fight or you're going to keep it cool, or like how you shoot your shots with people, because I like shooting shots. But then I ended up going to a boarding school.
Yeah.
So I went to Andover, and that for me was like when I really tapped into kind of what in like the black community and also like just in different communities you think of as code switching.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I can't be little hoodlum Benny, but I still can be. But also I changed a lot about the way that I talked and how I addressed people, because I didn't want to be perceived in a certain way.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until my junior year where I was like, fuck all this. I'm a great fucking person. I can be who I want to be. But also, like, I can navigate this space in a fun and cool way while not having to think too much about myself.
100%.
I learned that. And then I got kicked out. I fucked up. We can get into that later.
No, I want to get into all of that because that's why I think you're so good at it, bro. You're only 24, right? But you've had so many experiences in so many completely different communities.
It's been a lot.
In America and around the world, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's I've been blessed. Sometimes not, but I think overall, just like I've always viewed like life like, yo, we're gonna get through this one way or another. It's like literally one day at a time. But my mom, when I was growing up, told me like, live your life by like these two things. She's like, learn a lot, or learn something new every day and try and learn as much as possible, learn a lot. And then with that knowledge, find a way to help someone. That was like the two things that I always try and live by. I stopped learning these days, but I'm always picking things up. I feel like learning comes in different ways, whether it's like maybe tasting something new or there's different ways to learn.
Yeah, learning is such it's a subjective term if you think about it, because the way we were taught learning is memorizing something in a classroom, picking up information like that. But that's not really what learning is. You know what I mean? You can learn through experiences. You can learn subconsciously. You could not even know that you learned something, and you could learn it just by meeting other people. So I think we're always learning. Just even when we experience something new, we're learning.
Absolutely. I think like just experiencing things is part of like learning, you know? And how much effort and thought you put into that, like, can like determine how much of it you'll retain. But every experience is always a learning opportunity to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then with that, I just want people to have a good time. It's a hard life, my boy. So
I want to get into it, bro. So where'd you grow up?
So born and raised in the Bronx. Grew up mainly with my mother. My mother's Ecuadorian, my father's Dominican. Both. So I'm first generation born in New York. I have 3 older half siblings and then 1 younger sister.
Did you guys grow up in an apartment?
We bounced around a lot, but so I lived in Fordham for a bit.
Yeah.
Then grew up mainly on 174th and Nelson. Lived in an apartment there. It was fun. Had lots of friends. My elementary school was like right down the block from me, so like I got to know so many like different people in the neighborhood, and that was really cool. But then in middle school, you know, I'd always had this pressure from my parents, like, you have to be someone. You have to be great. Like, I remember, you know, we always get asked as kids, like, what do you want to be? But I was always determined, like, I'm going to Harvard, and I have to be a lawyer.
Really?
Those were 2 things I knew, like, my whole life.
Oh, man.
I also wanted to play for the Yankees. The only reason that didn't work out, trust me, it would have worked out. But I twisted my ankle.
Yeah.
That's the only reason it didn't work out, you know. But, yeah, it would have happened.
People always talk about the Bronx as super community-oriented. I consider New York, Carroll Gardens, Red Hook to be very community-centered, but it seems like the Bronx really has a different type of connection that you form with the people you live around.
Absolutely, and I think it depends on, like, which neighborhood environment you're in, but, like, I go back often to see my mom, and, like, I still remember so many of the cats that, like, I grew up with over there. And I stopped living in the Bronx kind of for when I was, like, 12, when I started going to Andover. Granted, I was back during the holidays, and then college, I was back for the holidays every now and then, but not really. But I still, like, everyone that I'll run into cats, like, just randomly. You'll see the amount of times I'll be up in the Bronx knowing that I'm going to run into someone on a train, or, like, just be like, yo, I'm going to see something. Like, I'll be there, like, I have one errand to run. I'm going to run into someone. Every single time I feel always happens.
Yeah, but I feel the same way, actually, when I'm walking around Carroll Gardens, but it's definitely different. But it's so cool, actually, coming, like, now in our early 20s and just seeing all the people that saw us grow up.
Yeah.
Now that we're young adults and stuff, you know what I mean? It's a different type of feeling, and you know that they know a part of you that not many people do.
It's been real cool, you know. Like, I went to go speak back at the elementary school that I went to. One of my teachers, like, hit me up. I actually ran into my 5th grade teacher at Red Hook Tavern.
No way.
I think we had been open for like a month or 2, and there was a wedding in the area, and they just wanted to stop by for a drink. And all I hear is, I've had this happen like so many different times where people will come into Red Hook Tavern and they'll be like, Benny? And I turn around, I'm like, that's crazy. And I was like, what? I was like, you lying. I was like, you taught me in 5th grade, my boy.
That's crazy.
Shout out to Mr. Geelan. Fucking great. And Miss Harkins, his wife, who's my 4th grade teacher. I don't know if she goes by Mrs. Geelan now, but yeah.
So first 11 years of your life is purely, I'm going to be a lawyer and I'm going to go to Harvard and I'm going to make something out of myself.
Yeah.
Because that's what my parents want.
That's like where, like, that was the pressure. And so then in 6th grade, I was watching the news. I may or may have not cut school. But I was watching the news, and the reason I was watching the news is because every time I turned on TV, it was always on the news station, Spanish, Univision.
Yes.
And they were talking about this program called the Oliver Scholars Program that basically helps Black and Latino kids in New York from underprivileged homes try and attend an independent school of any kind. And so I called them up, and I'm like, yo, like, what's the sitch? And they're like, 1, you should be in school. 2.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, so I go to school, you know, and my counselor starts talking to me about this. And it's like, look, there's Prep for Prep, Oliver Scholars Program, and then ABC. Like, you should apply to them. So I apply to them, and I, like, see the vibes of each program, and I end up going with Oliver. And so with Oliver, it's kind of a 5-week intensive summer school program. 4 weeks are done at whatever school of choice that they're able to do classes in, and they're basically prepping you to apply to these independent schools. So this is your 7th grade summer.
Wow.
And the last week, you go to a boarding school just to see if you would like to be in a boarding school climate or not, and that's the test that they're kind of doing. Then you come back. If you pass the program, you want to keep on with it. They give you a list of schools based on your grades and everything that you should apply to. Mm-hmm. And so I got 5 schools. I applied to them, and one of them happened to be the school called Phillips Academy, Andover. And when I looked it up, it was ranked one of the best schools in America, and I was like, boom, that's how I'm gonna get to Harvard. I'm gonna go there, And I got in, and it was so fucking cool. I was just I think it's the oldest school in America.
Wow.
Found in 1776, basically, I think.
Whoa.
Maybe a little bit before the Americas were fully established, before the Revolution. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Old as shit.
Damn.
And I get into school, and it was just insane.
In what ways? Did you feel the type of history that there is when you're at a school like this?
It was beautiful, but also, I was coming from the Bronx. It was such a, for me, it was a culture shock. One, I had never seen white people really before that. Besides my teachers.
That's crazy.
And on TV, but I'm in the Bronx, and there was maybe a couple white kids here and there, but not really. The Bronx is heavily black, Latino, and brown people.
Was it mostly white?
Oh yeah.
So this was the first time you were in a white climate.
In a predominantly white environment.
How did that feel?
I felt a little ostracized and weird in the beginning. I think moving day, I tried dressing a certain way to acclimate to everyone. So I thought white people wore Abercrombie and Fitch and Hollister, but super preppy. And I think everyone was on to what's the one with the fucking whale on it?
Oh, I forget.
It's gonna come to me.
Ralph Lauren? No.
No. That's the fucking horse.
Right.
Horsepower, my boy. Polo.
Could you feel the history in this place? I know when I was at college, Penn State was a place that's been around since 1855, and I could feel the history while I'm there. I could feel there's a ton of tradition implemented into everything that happens here. Was it kind of like that at an early age?
Absolutely.
What were the type of traditions that you felt?
For me, the way the buildings looked were just even looking at the buildings was so fucking beautiful. But the school had things always for me had a certain rhythm and flow. You can hear it. I try and compare it to when you're working in a restaurant and it gets fucking busy. There's a sound you hear. It's just a click. Everything about Andover, we did assemblies in the fucking chapel over there, all school meetings, and it's just this huge, beautiful old chapel that was amazing. I don't know. It was a cool spot. The way we did classes, sports, and everything. I think the thing I got most into tradition wise for a time while I was there. So I got kicked out. So I also did a lot of drugs while I was there. So I forgot a lot.
Hold on. So you went in there when you were 12. Right?
Yeah, 12, 13.
So you at this time, are you focused on getting to your goal to Harvard?
I was.
And what was your personality like?
I'm very extroverted and really loud.
Okay.
I was just I wanted to become friends with everyone, but I was also a little shy because I didn't know how to do it. I kind of did become everyone's token black friend in the beginning, and that was a weird thing to navigate, but
yeah.
I don't know. I just also when I was 11, I discovered that I was bi, and I was going into this school being all right, I'm poor, I'm black and Latino, I'm Afro-Latino, I come from immigrant family, and I'm bi. I was I can't be all these things at this institution, so I was I'm gonna stop being bi.
Whoa.
At the time, the term, which I don't think is used anymore, and I think it's actually offensive. Someone correct me if it is later in the point. But being metrosexual was the thing, was when you had feminine tendencies. just like taking care of yourself and being like
Yeah.
Which is stupid that was considered like painting your nails and like just like tidying up, and when that was considered having women tendencies and female tendencies were not
looking good. Yeah,
looking good. But it allowed me to be feminine, aka slightly bi and gay, without having to be fully out there. So shout out to that term during that time of need in my life. But it was weird, like I was navigating that kind of space and how to do that and being like fun, but also like not trying to intimidate people. And like, I mean, I have like a semi-decent deep voice.
Yeah.
Like I spoke in a higher tone and pitch when I was over there because I was like, I gotta come off as nice,
right.
know, like, and not like a hoodlum or whatever. I remember I stopped listening to rap music. I just didn't want to be stereotyped, I guess. That was like what I really didn't want.
That was your biggest fear at the time?
I didn't want to be caged in,
What a swirl of emotions, man. You're at a place completely different to what you were accustomed to growing up.
Fully, like...
realizing a plethora of crazy things about yourself while still just trying to acclimate to this new environment. I mean, you must have grown so much throughout that time.
I did, but I failed a lot, dude. I thought I was really smart beforehand, but...
No, duh. You failed a lot. I mean,
we all...
dealing with so much.
But the hardest part, too, was I didn't know how to ask for help.
Yeah.
Something that, like, I just didn't know how to do.
100%.
I also didn't have, like... I was just naturally, like, kind of smart and whatnot, but without having any, like, guidance or anything, I didn't know how to, like, study, how to prepare for exams, tests. I was just, like... And I got really insecure and into myself, and I think I started focusing more on my social life than my studies.
Dude, yeah.
Because I was more insecure about that, that I just, like... kind of forgot about the whole Harvard thing, and I was just like, I'll make this work at some point.
Right. You wanted to discover who you were first.
Yeah.
That's completely understandable, and I think it's a huge thing that we don't think about enough with kids, We put them in this social place for the first time in their entire lives, and we're not even worried about all the thoughts that are going on in their heads. You know what I mean? We're trying to discover who they are. And so it sets a lot of people back. But if you persevere and you work through it, you grow a lot by cultivating your own self. And that's what I think you did.
Kids are fucking smart, dude. We'll get to this too then at some point. I was like helping out and like sort of teaching at this, and like supervising classes at this school in Red Hook, at this charter school. And, like, these kids are so smart. There's this group of, like, 8th graders that I would watch over every now and then. And, like, the conversations that they were having was so beautiful and great. I was like, this rocks. But kids are smart. Like, and when you allow them and give them the freedom and ability and tools to, like, discover themselves, feel comfortable, and feel supported, kids fucking thrive. But I didn't know how to get any of that while I was there. And I didn't have my parents to, like, rely on. They were far away, and...
Dude.
And it's like, it wasn't stuff that, for them, like, I tried telling them about, like, feeling insecure, about, like, like, being poor and all, and they're like, look, suck it up. You have to deal with it. And then I was like, yo, but, like, also, like these white kids, like, I don't know how to, like, interact with them. And they're like, that's the stupidest thing. You should, like, why is that what you're focused on? Like, focus on school. And that was the conversation.
Yeah.
And... yeah, it was just like, I don't know. But I made so many beautiful and amazing friends during my time there. And I also did meet a lot of beautiful and amazing teachers. School wasn't really my focus.
Yeah.
But in terms of the experience of, like, the friends that I made while I was there, I will never not be thankful for that. Like, that community I was able to build during my 3 years and like a couple days into senior year. I got kicked out my senior year the day before class started.
No. That's crazy.
In
your senior year of high school?
Senior year of high school, my boy.
Wow.
The day before class started is when I got in trouble.
So wait, I just want to, before we get there, what was the year you think you started figuring it all out about yourself? All that stuff started to come and make sense a little bit.
Middle of sophomore year, and then fully grown into myself my junior year.
And so how did you change?
So sophomore year, I was a lot more social. Not that I was really social my whole time there, but I was like social in the sense like I knew what I wanted in terms of how I made my friends. I also met the biggest love of my life that year.
Yeah.
And that was a really rocky relationship to navigate.
Of course. It always is. It always is.
If you ever see this, Shireen, I'm very sorry and I love you still. She's never going to see this. But yeah, she was a senior and I was a sophomore. And I just like saw her walking across campus and I was like, I need to be your person. And like, I tried so hard to like I figured out that we had some friends in common. I tried so hard to like get us to be friends together.
Yeah.
And she just didn't like me. She did not like me. She thought it was annoying in the beginning. And then one day it was in the library and like I kind of sat at this table where she was at and she was like, oh, like this is my table. I was like, fuck your table. I was like, I'm gonna sit down and do work. And I never did work in the library. The library, I just was there literally just to say what's up to people, maybe help them with their homework, but like I just want to say hi to friends and whatnot, like see who I could run into or make new friends. And I did that for like 2 hours and I was like, all right, now I got to go to my room to actually study. And she was like, you literally did no work. Something to those lines. And I was like, I'm just going to do it in my room. She was like, well, I'm going to head out too. I was like, where do you live? And we lived in dorms, and I lived in Stearns, and she lived in Stevens. So we were literally right next to each other.
Wow.
Like a minute walk away.
It's not a coincidence.
So we started walking back, and I started talking about the stars, because you can see the stars super brightly and cleanly up there. And I really liked stars, I guess, while I was there, especially because you can't see them in the fucking city, but they look so pretty out in nature. And she let me just talk, and she's like, you're not so bad.
Oh, so there was a vibe.
And I was like, I think so. And we decided to become friends, and like we just like were texting all the time. We became best friends. And like I would stay up to like 2, 3 a.m. just like texting her. And like we would be sharing secrets, like being like really intimate, and became best friends like really quickly. And then one day there was this kind of like we had this place called the Den at Andover, like where we would do events and dance parties and whatnot. And this woman Miracle started singing. I think it was like a Taylor Swift song. And I got some boys. I was like, oh, let's go like be background dancers. And we started like background dancing for her. And then after the song finished, I like, oh, there was a band playing for it too, I think. Or like the beat kept going. I just started freestyling about like love and shit. Making eye contact with my baby, you feel me?
Damn.
And I get off the stage. We sit down. Like you would be her. There's one person in front of us, in between us, and there's me. And like she pulls me back, and we like get really close. She's like, "You're so fucking amazing." This, that, like staring so deeply into each other's eyes. Like I was like on a high from getting off the stage. I also may have been high too. I can't remember, but I was like this close to kissing her. And she was like, "I love you." And I was like, "I love you too," you know. But like I didn't know like what kind of "I love you" it was. And I was this close to kissing her. We were like so close to each other, and then I just pulled away and I left. Because I was so scared that if we had kissed in that moment, it would ruin our friendship.
Wow.
And I didn't want that. And then I stopped talking to her.
That's genuinely what you were afraid of? This girl that you had been seeking after for so long? Yeah, but
you know, like we had became best friends, and like I wanted it, but she was like beautiful. Yeah. Gorgeous, and I thought she was too cool for me, and I just didn't want to. Now that we had already at least established a good friendship, I was like, I'd rather keep this and like hold on to this forever than like try and kiss you and then fuck it up.
Yeah, you were scared.
You know, I was scared.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks go by, and we like barely text, and she's like, hey, can you like meet me in between Stearns and Stevens? And there's like this slope going down, and there's this one lamp, you know, in between us. And I was going to the den to go pick up someone to go hook up with them. And I was just like, fuck this. I just started bolting right back. And I get there, and I'm at the top of like the slope down.
Yeah.
And I see her, and I like run down. And I'm like, hey, like, are you okay? She's like kind of like crying a little bit. And she's like, I just like don't know what to do. Like, I'm scared this time. I'm like, what's wrong? Like, hey, you can talk to me. And she's like, I love you. And when I tell you, I was so fucking happy for like 2 seconds. And then she was like, but I can't be with you. And I was like, why? Well, like, why? Like,
why?
Literally.
Yeah, bro.
I was like, whoa, hold on. You just said I love you. What do you mean you can't be with me?
Yeah.
And she was like, you know, because she was also scared of like kind of losing me, and then she's going to college. I got 2 more years left in high school. She's going to college, and you know, she was just scared like it wasn't gonna work out, this, that. And I thought I was Rico Suave in the cut. And I was just like it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all.
Wow. Yeah.
Dr. Seuss said that.
Did he?
No. It's like this, like, some philosopher. Someone can look it up. I think his name's like Alfred something or something.
No, that's
but
wise.
I used to tell people Dr. Seuss said it because I think it's fucking funny. Just thinking about Mr. Cat in the Hat.
Yeah.
Saying
Just
some romantic ass shit like that.
Yeah.
She ain't take the bait. And then I was like, well, can like we at least like share one kiss? Thinking that would change her mind. And we do. And it was beautiful and passionate.
Right in between the halls that you guys were staying at?
And then she just kept crying. She's like, I just can't. And she walked away. Things moved really fast. But we made it through the junior year, and then before going to my senior year, she transferred schools. She was going down to Georgia Tech, and then she transferred to school in New York and got an apartment just so she could be closer to me.
Wow.
You know, and then I changed my goal of going to Harvard to go to Columbia so I could be closer to her and we could be in the same city. And I was like, yeah, this fucking works, you know? But that summer we argued and bickered so much, and before I left, I was like, we have to break up.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of people I really wanted to fuck that year, my senior year, so I didn't want to cheat.
Facts.
You know, granted I did beforehand, but no one heard that. But this is how we lead towards me getting kicked out of high school. The day before the all-school meeting, I kind of found my freshman year crush, and her and I decided to go like to this pond nearby, and I'm still thinking about like my relationship with this woman and being really sad and like just like feeling a little bit lost about like my love life and everything, and I just get hammered. I was just like, I'm gonna drink these problems away.
Yeah.
And I show up to like an assembly meeting. I think it was a cluster meeting at the chapel.
Yeah.
And son, I blacked out, and all I know is I woke up and I had thrown up in chapel in front of like wild people. And then I got kicked out 3 days later.
Really?
Yeah.
So what was the symbol of the chapel for this school? Was it the place like you cannot be fucked up in the chapel?
You can't be fucked up anywhere. We're high schoolers.
Right. Okay, but in terms of what's going to get you kicked out of the school?
I had gotten in trouble beforehand for some things.
And this was what drew the line?
Yeah. So the day after I get in trouble, I go home, collect my bearings. I'm like, all right, can I get myself out of this situation? I wrote a short story about this. I'll send it to you, actually.
I'd love to read it.
But I'm like, all right, let me get my story straight. Like, can I finesse my way out of this?
You're how old at this time?
Now I'm 16. I didn't know how I was going to talk to everyone else then about this. Because then everyone's going to find out that I got kicked out of high school.
Yeah.
Like, the teachers that were near the school where I was at were going to be like, oh, what are you doing back here? Why aren't you at Andover?
It's just
my
a lot of
cousins, you know, aunts, uncles, other friends, you know, like,
yeah.
I was going to have to talk to people about this. And the shame that I felt was just like, very, like, so much. And I was like, what the fuck am I going to do?
Dude, and it's really full circle that you can now at 24 be so comfortable talking about this point in your life.
Yeah.
You know?
I can thankfully laugh at it.
Yeah. You know?
It was a wild ride. But it was a lot, you know, like I would close my eyes and I was just like, if I just think hard enough, I can reset. Like I was praying and thinking like I could go back to that day and have none of this happen. Like I was like,
wow.
And like I would spend so many nights like crying, but like being like, if I think hard enough, like, can I go back to this day? Can I undo it? It was very agonizing.
Yeah.
Because I'd wake up the next day and I was in that shitty predicament that I put myself in.
What you're saying, that's really, really deep because you're not accepting your present. You're still completely in denial.
Such a big like the denial.
For how long?
I think it was like a month, but I was also just like yo, fuck it, we ball. I was like, I gotta figure this shit out. I was like, all right, what can I do now? I was like, I can't change this shit, but I was like, what can I do? What the fuck can I do? I was like, all right, I gotta get back into school. I also had a lot of really good people in my life. So that program that I did, like they of course knew about me getting kicked out and everything. They're like, one, you're gonna work at the office, like I was doing an internship there, but two, we're gonna help you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout outs to my boys Manny and fucking Francisco. Like
Yeah.
So they were my like mentors and like from this program. But when I tell you they held me down so well, they're like, we will make sure we like get you situated. Like whether it's like you doing a year of school in New York and then doing a post-grad year somewhere else, or like you go to community college for you and then apply wherever. Also, shout outs to community college. Not a backup choice. Can always be a first choice.
Absolutely.
You know, but like they were like, yo, we will help you get to where you want to go and guide you like you were a child. And then my house dad, the guy who was supposed to be my house dad my senior year in the dorm that we were living in, Chris Yole, reached out to me and he had gotten in trouble and stuff like a while back when he was like, he went to school and everything. Then after he enlisted in the Navy, and my freshman year when I couldn't study really well, Chris Yo would invite me to his house and we would do homework together. He was getting his master's at the time. This man's like probably the late 40s, early 50s, I think at the time.
Yeah.
Him and Miss Yo had 3 beautiful daughters. And like he would take time for us to do homework together. Just so I could have a study buddy.
That's beautiful.
And he called me that year and he was like, look, dude, like, you know, like, not saying you have to this, but like something that helped me out was being in the Navy. It gave me the structure that I needed and everything. He was like, you look into like the military. And I was like, yeah, but I want to, like, I was still focused on like getting my education. You know, I think in our American society, there's such a pressure of like doing things within a timeline.
Yes.
Like you have to finish high school at this time, and then right after you have to go to college, and you have to graduate by this time.
Dude,
and you need to be
100%.
like a professional and a full grown up at this time.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And so that was so ingrained in me that I was like, yeah, that sounds cool, whatever, but like, how do I get my education? Like, I need to go to college.
How do I finish this chapter
like,
right now?
Like,
yeah.
I need to get all of this done. Granted, I should have pumped the brakes and, like, whatever. But he was like, there's ROTC, and he was like, there's military schools. And I was like, fuck it. Like, let's look this shit up. I had never heard about West Point before this.
Whoa.
And when I saw how hard it was to get into West Point, I was like, yo, I am absolutely applying.
Oh, really?
Well, because you got to get a nomination from your congressman or senator to get into the school.
Whoa.
And so I went from like that.
And wait, so describe what West Point is to the people that don't know.
So it is the United States Military Academy at West Point. It is the like military college. So many of like great generals that have been in charge of the U.S. Army and whatnot have gone through that school. You go there for 4 years, and when you graduate as a second lieutenant in the Army, and it's just like a very rigorous, and it's like a 10% acceptance rate to get into it. It's a serious joint.
So what is the objective?
For you to graduate and then be a second lieutenant in the Army.
But what are you trying to accomplish every year? Like what are your days designed as, and what are you trying to get done in order to achieve what?
So when you do basic training before going to school, 6 weeks, and then you enroll as a plebe your freshman year. You can't talk outside. It's so stupid.
You can't talk outside?
Dude, when you walk, you have to have your hands cupped. Your freshman year, you can't have your hands open. You have to cup your hands.
What?
And you can't talk outside with other plebes unless you're talking to like an upperclassman. Yeah.
What?
Talk about like tradition, like
Dude.
this. When you're walking inside hallways in your like dorm and everything, you have to round every corner. So you can't, like, you have to walk against the wall and then go through the corners. You can't just walk straight in the middle.
Whoa.
You have to like turn your corners, boom, boom. You have to greet everyone by like their rank and everything every single day.
It's just a lot of stuff.
And it's like but it's like all these things, like making your bed, like you get your room inspected every day. You have like inspection during like formation in the morning. You always have to be at formation on time every single day to check in and make sure that like you are accounted for. And then during that formation, they check to make sure that you shaved and everything every day. Like even like if I shaved in the night and I woke up and I shaved in the morning, they would be able to tell. Like, you did not just shave this morning.
Oh my God.
Your shoes had to be polished. Like, your uniform had to be like ironed. You had to have like the seams in your pants look good. All these like attention to detail aspects. Like your hair, like this hair would not fly. Like,
100%
you know,
not.
Also like the color and everything. They let me fly with like a little sunburnt orange hair, red hair one year.
Yeah.
Because it looked natural enough.
So it felt like at Andover, you were just coming to a point where you were accepting yourself.
Yeah.
You had found independence for a long time, and you were just coming into what you enjoyed and who you were. And then all that shit happened. So what is your mindset during your time at West Point? Are you almost punishing yourself?
No, the reason I decided to apply was because I wanted to do I wanted to show like thanks to everyone that helped me by getting into like a really prestigious school, even after getting kicked out. But also I wanted to have the comeback of the century.
Yeah.
From getting kicked out of high school and then within a couple months getting into like one of the hardest schools to get into in the country. Mm-hmm. Like, and one of those things that you have to do is you have to interview with your congressman and then get their approval for you to go to this school.
Yeah.
Like, to do all of that after immediately getting kicked out.
Dude, how did you do that?
I didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't hook up with anyone besides my ex, the love of my life. She would invite me over to her place every now and then for tea.
Yeah.
I don't ever think I drank tea at her place. That was also like, but then I finally like was like, I need to let go. I like shaved my head bald. I was trying to like let go of all these like, I was going through like my like fake monk phase or whatever.
Were you low-key like exploring a different part of yourself at this time?
I was just trying to like let go, you know. For me at that time, I was so obsessed with like how I was perceived.
Yes, because you're worried about all those conversations you were talking about.
When I enrolled into the school, I was like, I don't care about making friends. I'm here to go to school, leave. I was really big into powerlifting that year. I was brolic, my boy. If you had seen me, I used to be brolic. It was tunnel vision. All I wanted to do was be great. And and make that comeback. I was
Love
like,
that.
I really just want to say fuck you to everyone that like didn't believe in me.
Yeah.
And then there's one teacher, if you fucking see this, I fucking hate you. Mr. Schneider, you suck. He probably won't ever see this, but he was an asshole, dude. Such an asshole. After I got kicked out, he like when I got in trouble, he's like, I fucking knew it. He's like, I knew you were.
Really?
And I was like, you were a grown ass man.
What a toxic thing.
I thought about that a lot. Like that interaction was seared into my brain.
Wow.
And I was like, I need to get into West Point so that kind of person and everyone else that thought that stuff about me and thought that I was like gonna be a failure, I was like, I'm not gonna let myself be a failure. That's kind of where I was at. I was like, I left the Bronx to get into Andover and make it out of the Bronx, and now I'm back here because I fucked up. There's no fucking way. Like, I had this like thing in my head, like this other voice talking to me is like, yo, don't let everyone that thought you were gonna fail be right.
Dude, yeah, you were on a completely different trajectory and journey than the normal public school path for New Yorkers. It's mind-boggling to me now, the route you took.
It was wild, you know, but I got in, and West Point to me was everything that I wasn't. I'm very like free-flowing and like I'm very anti-structure as a person, sort of, kind of, you know, like, I mean, I fucking paint my hair fucking pink, you know. Like,
Yeah,
I love, like,
you're very free-spirited.
I like being vibrant, I like being fun. I'm not a big rules kind of person, but I am every now and then. But West Point taught me that.
Yeah.
West Point forced me to have to accept structure, to have to accept discipline, and like to fucking produce results, you know, like.
Yeah.
I was also on the boxing team during my time there, and that was
Dude,
a vibe and a
this
half.
is crazy to me that you went through all this. You know what I mean? You went through this, 5-year stretch of your life where you had gotten kicked out of Andover and you were solely on a mission to confront all your deepest fears. Did you ever want to quit at this point after you graduated Andover, or after you got kicked out of Andover and then you started going on this journey to pursue West Point?
Oh, absolutely. There were definitely days I was just like, is any of this worth it? Like, am I going to get in?
Yeah.
But I, you know, my boys Manny and Francisco truly like would reassure me and be like, look, none of this is a waste.
Yeah.
He's like, if you don't get into West Point or whatever, and they're like, and they were always really frank. They're like, which you might not. And they're like, you just got kicked out of fucking high school. It's like, what makes you think you're gonna get into this good ass school and everything? I was like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I was like, come back at the century though, you know.
Yeah.
That was my phrase that year.
Dude.
But they were like, look, everything that you're doing right now is just you're working on yourself to be a better person.
That is.
And like
beautiful.
You're growing, you know, and they're like, none of that is like ever is going to be like a failure, like something that you lose out on. Like, it means something.
Dude, these guys were such great people in your life.
I love them, son.
Because that is so true. People are so focused on results nowadays. Resumes. Established things. But really what we don't talk enough about is mindsets.
Yeah.
What we don't talk enough about is habitual changes.
Yo, I applied to 21 schools for college. The only school I got into was West Point.
Wow. So take me through that day.
Every other school. So it was a gradual process. I had an interview with this one at the time. I think she was Captain Myrtle, Betty Myrtle. God bless her soul, by the way, Betty. And I called the admissions office at West Point because I was like, hey, I want to get information. Like, I think I had like a day or two to start, like, to submit my fucking like packet and get this shit rolling, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's a staged process, you know, for again,
Yeah.
you have to like, you don't always have to interview, but you know, you have to submit a packet, resume, grades, but then you have to go do a medical evaluation. Then you have to go interview with like your senator, congressman. You have to take a fitness test and you have to send in those results, to school.
Wow.
Like it's a 4 different step process. Like you get evaluated in all these things.
That's crazy.
But she's like, look, I'm gonna be in New York. Like we started emailing. She's like, I'll come to your school. And we meet. Find out she's Haitian, I'm Dominican. We have a
beautiful
ball and a half on the It is amazing, just so sweet and kind. And then she was like, so, why'd you go from Andover to here? And I could have chosen to lie. Mm-hmm. But I decided to be honest. I had confronted the fact that I had fucked up at that point.
Beautiful.
And I felt comfortable in that.
Yeah.
And I told her the whole story of what happened. And I was like, but I'm here now trying to improve myself and be a better person. And she was just like, I am very thankful that you were honest with me.
Wow.
One of the core tenets and things that you learn at West Point is this phrase. It's part of the rule book, but a cadet will not lie, cheat, and or steal. Lying is a huge grievance and offense at West Point.
Has that stuck with you? Has that moment stuck with you? She rewarded the truth, which is what a lot of people should do today, because a lot of people will turn you away when they hear bad information, but they don't value the person you're being at that moment.
For sure. And I was like, you know what? Like, if this is what breaks the interview, I'm like, I have to live with that because I fucked up, and so I have to live with these consequences. But instead, it turned back, and it was like, I got rewarded for being honest, and I, for the first time, felt good about it. I was like, all right, like, I don't have to be ashamed. I was allowed to have fucked up, and she helped me through my whole, process and was so supportive. And
that's so beautiful, bro. What a moment.
And I got in. Fucking got in, dude.
All right, yo. If you are at this point in the video, first off, thank you so much for watching this far. I really appreciate it. If you want to drop a like, a comment, I'm going to read all the comments, respond to all the comments. It really means a lot and goes so much further than you think. At this point in the video, my camera stops recording shortly after. So Benny and I decided to take a break, gather our bearings, and then when we came back, I asked Benny his top 5 neighborhoods in New York City. Now, if you've seen any TikToks that I've made, this is a thing I do often. From when I was at Penn State to now in New York City, I ask people their top 5 favorite things about the city, and it makes for a pretty interesting conversation. Benny has lived in every neighborhood from the Bronx to Brooklyn and has worked pretty much everywhere around the city, so I feel like he was the perfect person to ask for this. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Now, proceeding with the rest of the video. All right. Welcome to part 2 of the Benny Ogando podcast.
It's your podcast, my boy. I'm just
No, but it's your episode.
Oh, heard.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So my camera just ran out of battery, overheated or something. We charged it up. We're good.
We're back in action. We got new beers.
If you're listening this far, thank you so much, honestly. But honestly, I think we've been having a pretty entertaining conversation so far, Benny.
I hope so.
You've lived in a lot of different neighborhoods in New York City. You started in the Bronx. You've ended up in Brooklyn, but you've experienced Manhattan. You've experienced Queens. You've been all over. Whether it's going out, whether it's living. I want to hear your top 5 neighborhoods in New York City. Let's go 1 to 5.
1 to 5? So
let's start at the top. What do you think is your number 1 neighborhood in New York City?
All right. Number 1 neighborhood. Damn, son, that's kind of hard.
It is hard.
You see, all right. I'd say the Bronx because I lived it. The thing is, I don't go up to the Bronx often enough now that I'm down in Brooklyn, so I can't say the Bronx, but the Bronx will make the list at some point. I'll probably have Fordham be that part or the concourse at some point in life. But if I go number 1, because I just end up going out there all the fucking time because I like drinking in the area. Not to be the basic of basic bitches, and I can't be a basic bitch, I'm black. But we'll go with the West Village.
Ooh, number 1, West Village. That's crazy.
People are going to hate me for this, but...
Or people are going to love you, but damn,
might.
number one.
They might, and it might change at some point. Maybe I'll put it at number 3. Who knows?
Why are we saying number one?
Yeah, I mean, I worked in the West Village for 2 years, and I still work there every now and then. I don't know. Like, I hate the NYU kids that live there, and whenever NYU kids see it, fuck you.
Facts.
But everyone else there is a fucking G. It's so fun.
Really?
There's just like a lot of good and of course like popular places in the area, but I love drinking there. I really go to the West Village for one place and one place only, fucking Katana Kitten.
Ooh.
Shout out to my peoples over there. Y'all fucking beautiful and amazing. I was there literally Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and last night. But I love getting drunk in that neighborhood. I love the people there. People there are really pretty, and I love pretty people. It's an ease of access kind of situation for me. I loved working in that neighborhood and the different people that would come to it. It was the place I worked at a champagne, that airs the champagne bar there, and like I always got such a good mix of people. I actually, because it was a champagne bar, made me like the neighborhood more and made me like working there, because if any like college kids were coming to drink there, they were like weird art kids. No one's like a fucking 20, 21-year-old, or 22-year-old like, oh, I'm going to go drink champagne. You have to be a theater kid for that, and I love you theater kids.
It is, the West Village is just where stuff is at,
and
man.
I love Washington Square Park. You know, I like the energy there when people are doing like where they're like selling their clothes, different kind of products. I love like the impromptu bands that happen up there. But really, the reason I love the West Village is Katana Kitten. There are places where you fucking break the bank in the West Village, but also there's actually a lot of good places where you fucking don't. And there's
That's a good point.
Iconic spots like in that area, especially like on McDougal, the fucking like Comedy Center, the Blue Note, the Jazz Club.
Yeah.
My moons for fucking falafel and all. You know, like there's a lot of good spots. Getting a fucking taki like that, you know, or a kati roll, not ta, but taki's great too. But a kati roll out there, you know, I don't know. I like that place, and I've had many late nights where I'm leaving Ayers and just grabbing a pizza slice at Ben's Pizza. Just walking. Seen a lot of great shows at the IFC Center. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And I've become friends with lots and lots of the homeless people working in that area.
Oh, really?
By friends, more like I'm just cordial with them. I'm like, yo, fuck off. But I'll entertain a late night conversation. I know it's hard. And I know who's who and what to give them to not have them bother my guests.
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful. All right. Number one, I can compromise on West Village. That's fair.
It doesn't have to be number one. It's
no. It's number one. It's number one right now. This is your top five.
It might change.
This is your top five.
It might change as I keep listing out.
All right, I respect that. Number two. Where are we going?
Number two, we're going. I'm encapsulating all these places because they all feel the fucking same to me.
Yeah.
But the downtown Brooklyn area that is also then considered like end of Brooklyn Heights as you're getting into Cobble Hill and where you're in between Boerum Hill. That whole area for me, I fucking love.
That's facts. Brooklyn Heights is probably the most beautiful part of Brooklyn.
It is so pretty. And like I just like that whole tour and that like I end up when I do a drinking day, so I'm basing this also off like where I like drinking.
Yeah, that's facts. That's facts.
I like drinking, you know.
Smith Street's underrated.
Yo, Smith Street's great.
Smith Street's underrated.
And like then being on like as you're getting into like Atlantic, going to like the Columbia waterfront, fucking Long Island Bar and Montero's, love those places. Usually if I'm drinking in Brooklyn when I want to like do like a 5-bar stop, I will always want to do Leyenda, then Clover Club, and I feel like that's Cobble Hill, Boerum Hill-ish area. I love the High Room for lunches with friends, and that's like Cobble Hill area. And then I will veer and make my way over and go to Grand Army for some fucking amazing like oysters, and like they have this fun, playful like menu. They do like seasonal menus. Right now it's Spice Girls themed. Then Long Island Bar for a little bit more food.
Love Long Island restaurant. Facts.
Like, the team there is always beautiful and amazing. To close out at fucking Montero's, an iconic dive bar where sometimes you will hopefully have the pleasure of meeting this guy Pepe, who's like an old ass dude. I want to say like late 60s, maybe like early 70s. He's a fucking pool shark though. I tried playing with him once with like 2 other friends.
Really?
We needed a 4-person. We're like, let's do teams. And I was like, yo, Pepe, we all suck at fucking at pool. And he's like, yeah, I'm all right.
Oh, no, he
Ran
didn't.
us for money.
Yo,
my boy was nice with it.
It'd be like that.
I don't know, and I love like the vibe of that area. Like I like walking around. It's pretty. There's a lot of nice small niche restaurants there as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, so also once again, because I'm there a lot, either because of my commute to work or just like meeting up with friends for ease. Yeah, I'll put those 3. I'll consolidate them into my number 2.
Totally respect. They're not all 3 different neighborhoods, and they're all 3 the same type of vibe.
Absolutely, you know, and like
of person.
You walk 1 block over and you're in the other neighborhood, like, and you like nothing changed.
Facts.
So like for me, that's how it works.
Respect for that. Okay, number 3.
I gotta bring it uptown, baby. We going to Washington Heights.
Oh,
The Heights.
Washington Heights.
And you know, the Heights is big. There's the Heights and there's Dika Dykeman. That's all the fucking same shit to me.
Yeah.
All the same shit. Yo, I got wild love for the Heights.
Do you?
Well, so when I lived on 174th in Grand Concourse, a block up, there's this bus, the B36, that takes you right over the Lower Manhattan Bridge and gets you into the Heights in like 3 minutes. So I was there all the time. Also, I'm fucking Dominican. Half of my family lived in the Heights. And if I didn't know that they lived there, I found them there at some point.
Facts.
But I used to love going out on the Heights as a kid. Like, just even to fucking walk around, you know, like, the energy there is always so beautiful and consistent.
Yeah.
And then going out dancing in Dykeman is so much fun.
Different. So,
like, I don't know. The Heights is always, and like, it's like basically all Dominicans. It's always had a special place in my heart. I had braces, if you can't tell. And the spot that did the work on these great ass teeth was in the Heights, and I love those ladies so much.
Facts.
I don't know the name of the spot. I just know how to get there.
You gotta take me out there one night.
Yo, absolutely. I just hope you're ready. I mean, and shopping out there is wild cheap.
Facts.
I don't mind bootleg clothes as long as I look good in it.
As long as it looks good. Facts. I'm the same way. All right, number 4.
Number 4.
What we got?
You know I got to shout out Harlem now on this one. But then the thing is, Harlem is divided, right? Because there's the west side of Harlem and there's the east side of Harlem. And they're both fucking great. When I was in the high school for my senior year, I was in the east side of Harlem, and I liked it a lot. But it's fun. A little more, I don't know, I guess kind of commercial. But there's like a lot of great places on like the east side that are really fun and beautiful, like for me as an adult. But when it comes to going out and drinking, once again, I'm basing all of this off of drinking. I like drinking on the west side of Harlem a little bit more, especially like on Broadway, like the 130s and up, or like even on 127. But like just like 140 between 140th and 141st are these like beautiful places where you have to like go down the stairs to get into them, but they're all shaped this way. There's amazing Japanese restaurant and like also great bar program there. ROKC, like fucking nuts. Ooh. Just so great. Amazing fucking ramen. And it's beautiful. And then right next to them is this like the Caribbean bar, Bella Negra, that is just so fucking fun. Like they know how to have fun. They do different DJs and like dance event nights over there. They did an event this past Tuesday. Shout outs to my boy Steven, aka Kiwi. He was working the event. Yo, like it was for Dominican Independence Day, and like, yo, it was
popping.
They brought.
You told me about this.
Yeah, I was dancing my ass off.
Facts.
With Kiwi's mom. She took us to class. She took us to fucking church. This woman had just turned 64 the night before.
Whoa!
It's crazy too because I was like, yo, I'm gonna get some water, mama, and she was like, water. I was like, she's like, we still going. Like the music is playing, you know. And she's like, what you mean? She's like, I'm 64. Like you about to get active. I was like, okay. Si, señora.
She took you to town.
Son was working. Everyone out there. She was, and nice with it.
Fuck.
But that, like, that kind of environment place, I just love, like, the beauty and, like, energy of Harlem. I had the pleasure of working at an amazing restaurant up there a couple times, Contento. It's on, like, East 110th and, like, Broadway stop 6 train all the way up there. But, like, I love kind of the diversity in terms of, like, what you can find and what you'll get. There's just a lot of beautiful, iconic spots there, and just, like, walking around the people.
Thanks. So before we say number 5, because I bet everyone's got what they want to be number 5 in their heads right now. They're trying to say that shit. Let's list out a few contenders. What's going through your head when you're thinking about number 5 right now? What are the places you're deliberating between?
Yo, so this fucking sucks because we got to number 5 and I realized I was supposed to throw the Bronx back in at some point and I didn't. But,
you got number 5 in your head right now? You got it locked?
No, I actually do. I sadly do.
Okay.
And it's not the Bronx.
So let's list out the places. Where we got? Shout out the Bronx. Let's go. What are the contenders here?
So if I go in the Bronx, I gotta go like the Concourse and fucking Fordham. Like no questions asked. Like in Little Italy as well, but it's just also then like a little past Fordham. But
what are the others? Let's run through
after
them. Lightning round.
I mean, I guess Bushwick, but fuck everyone in Bushwick. The reason being, it's just like it's becoming so trendy. I used to like Bushwick, I really did, and I still do like some parts about Bushwick. But it's just like I find people that are from Bushwick and have been there their whole time. And there's so many different small places and cool spots there that you're like, all right, you've been around for a while. But then there's also like fucking places like it just feels
too
it's
trendy.
become very gentrified and trendy.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's starting to get there. I mean, that's fucking Williamsburg is like so gentrified at this point. Williamsburg is basically Manhattan now for the people that could live in Manhattan but want to save maybe a couple extra bucks, and so now they're in Williamsburg. And then that's what Bushwick is becoming for those people as well.
Yeah.
I'm just like, fuck everyone in that place. But I do like Bushwick, and I mean, I also lived there for like a year and a half. So
Facts. Okay.
That for sure would have made it.
Now,
So, yeah.
let's hear your 5.
5, the Bronx. I fucking love you. I do, but I just don't go out there enough, like, sadly, it's just too long of a trip. So number 5 for me is Red Hook. And it's because of familiarity. Honestly, Red Hook might be number 1 for me, but it's like Red Hook and West Village could be interchanged. All of these places could be interchanged for me, but I fucking love Red Hook. Like,
dude,
the sense of community there is unparalleled to any other place that I've lived in. Like, because there is no direct train line, like, everyone in Red Hook stays in Red Hook more or less and knows everyone in Red Hook.
People go to Red Hook because they want to be in New York but separate from New York at the same time.
Like, you don't feel like you're in the city.
No.
It's like a really like kind of small town ES vibe, and everyone knows everyone. Drinking in that neighborhood is so fun.
It's so unique.
The diversity and like the wholeness of like and difference of each bar is amazing. I cannot stress out how much I fucking love Red Hook.
Red Hook is the most unique community I've ever seen in New York. Honestly, I hope no one sees this video so no one knows about Red Hook, because it's one of those places I know in a few years is going to be popping.
I mean, even
it's going to be completely
summer,
different.
I started working there in 2019, and like even every summer onward, I've seen like just more and more different people and of course, like it happens during the summertime more because of like the ferry and everything. Like there are ways to make Red Hook convenient, and I've been seeing more different people in it. But like late night Red Hook, those who fucking stay and live there and work in that neighborhood are the best people ever, and it's just like so sweet. Like, I've had nights where I've had to then work doubles and I've been out drinking, and so many people have offered their homes to me to crash and just be like, yo, like, crash here so you can just like wake up and then just walk to work.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to meet so many of the guests, and like then like I don't even call them, like they've just become friends.
Yeah.
Because I've like actually hung out with them, gone out like on dates and just like hung out with their family. Like they're having children or like they've had a kid and I get to meet their kid and hang out. And it's like, I don't know. That sense of community is so fucking sweet and so fucking wholesome. I might have to then invert. I'll push West Village down one and I might have to put Red Hook back up.
At one. All the way to the top.
I fucking love Red Hook.
Benny, man, I cannot thank you enough for doing this
thank you, my boy.
podcast with me, bro.
Absolutely.
For real. Nah, for real, bro.
You, my
it
boy.
has been a real pleasure. For real.
Glad.
Absolutely.
I wish we had something to do a shot of just to do. Actually, maybe I can grab something.
Celebratory shot. Say what you got to say, and then I'm going to say my piece.
What do you mean? What do I got to say? Cheers?
Oh, no. I'm going to say a little thing before I want to thank you for being honest with me today, for opening up with me today, and for letting me understand you a lot more, bro.
Yo,
for
thank
real.
you, Mama.
On a real level.
I'll say, like, thank you for allowing me to take this, like, you're holding space for me to, like, talk to you right now. And, like, I don't take talking to people about, like, my life or who I am for granted. Because sometimes you're holding space. Like, you're, like, taking in all this information. Some of it is sad, some of it is happy and whatnot, and like that makes you fluctuate with your emotions. Right. So thank you for holding space and being someone who can like take that all in and like process it, and hopefully it's not overwhelming.
No, and I can tell you seriously, I've genuinely taken a lot out of this conversation.
I'm glad, my
For
boy.
real, brother.
Yo,
much
cheers.
love. Thank you,
love
brother.
Always.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you guys for listening. If you listened all the way, this is Benny Ogando. I'm Nick Prince. Love you guys, and peace.